The notification alert chimed at 2:17 a.m., pulling me from restless sleep with news that would unravel everything I thought I knew about trust. My phone screen glowed with an automated email from our case management system. Client satisfaction survey responses had been submitted under my account. At 2 in the morning, while I was asleep in my Palo Alto apartment, 40 miles from our San Jose office. I'm Stuart Iverson, 42, General Counsel at a boutique white-collar defense firm in downtown San Jose. We handle corporate compliance, regulatory investigations, and executive defense work. The kind of practice where reputation means everything and client reviews can make or break careers. The email showed 3 survey responses submitted in the past hour, all under my digital signature, all giving our firm devastating 1-star ratings. Comments ranged from unprofessional conduct to complete lack of competence to would never recommend. I sat up in bed, scrolling through the responses. The clients listed were real, active cases I was handling. But the feedback made no sense. These were satisfied clients. 2 had already referred new business to us. Our firm's online reputation management system automatically pushed these reviews to major legal directories. By morning, they would be live on every platform that mattered. Partners would see them. Potential clients would see them. The state bar's public database would capture them. I opened our case management portal on my laptop. The login logs showed my account accessing the system at 1:43 a.m., 2:02 a.m., and 2:15 a.m. Impossible. I had been asleep since 11. My hands moved across the keyboard, checking security settings. No unauthorized access alerts. No password reset notifications. The system showed normal activity patterns for my account, except for those 3 middle-of-the-night sessions. I called our IT support line. Voicemail. Of course. At this hour, I was on my own. The review submission timestamps were precise. Each response took exactly 4 minutes to complete. Someone had methodically worked through our client database, selecting my biggest cases, crafting responses designed to destroy my professional standing. But who had access to my account credentials? Who knew enough about my caseload to target specific clients? Who understood our internal systems well enough to navigate the review portal without triggering security flags? The answer felt impossible to consider. Only 3 people had that level of access and knowledge. My phone buzzed with another notification. A 4th review had just been submitted. The betrayal started 18 months earlier, though I didn't recognize it then. Marcus Upminster had been my mentor at Stanford Law. Brilliant mind. Photographic memory for case precedents. He'd guided me through constitutional law, helped me land my first associate position, celebrated when I made partner at 38. When Marcus joined our boutique firm 6 months ago, I championed his hiring. The partnership needed his white-collar expertise. His client connections would boost our revenue. I vouched for his character during the background review. I gave them access to my CLE compliance records and bar dues. Standard procedure for new partners. Marcus needed to understand our internal systems, billing protocols, case management workflows. I walked him through everything personally. Your login credentials are gold here, I told him during his first week. Guard them carefully. Client confidentiality depends on system security. Marcus nodded, taking notes on his tablet. Always the diligent student. The first warning sign came 3 weeks later. Christine Upminster from our IT department mentioned unusual after-hours activity on my account. Nothing alarming, just late-night document reviews that seemed inconsistent with my schedule. Probably just catching up on weekend work, I told her. You know how it is with the Morrison Industries case. She shrugged and moved on. I should have pressed for details. The second sign was subtler. Clients began mentioning conversations I didn't remember having. Phone calls about strategy changes I hadn't authorized. Email exchanges that weren't in my sent folder. When you called Tuesday about the settlement terms, said Janet Morrison during our Thursday meeting, I thought your approach seemed different, more aggressive than usual. I hadn't called Tuesday. My calendar showed a deposition prep session that ran until 8 p.m. No time for client calls. But Janet's assistant confirmed the call. 43 minutes. Detailed discussion about litigation strategy. Someone using my name had spent nearly an hour discussing confidential case matters with my biggest client. I started monitoring my account activity more carefully. Login timestamps, document access logs, email patterns. The data painted a disturbing picture. My account showed regular activity during hours I was provably elsewhere. Court appearances, client meetings, bar association events. Yet the system recorded me accessing sensitive files, reviewing confidential documents, submitting billing entries. The pattern became clear when I cross-referenced the timestamps with Marcus's schedule. Every suspicious login occurred when he was supposedly working late. Every unauthorized access happened during his documented overtime hours. I confronted our case management vendor about security vulnerabilities. They ran diagnostics. No external breaches detected. No malware signatures. No of system compromise. The access logs show legitimate credential usage, their technician explained. Either someone has your password, or they're using an authorized device with saved login information. Only one person had observed me entering my credentials often enough to memorize them. Only one person had been in my office during late-night strategy sessions when I logged into the system repeatedly. Marcus. I needed proof before making accusations. Partner-level allegations required that would satisfy the firm's executive committee. Suspicions weren't enough to destroy a colleague's career. I installed keylogger software on my office computer. Hidden monitoring that would capture every keystroke, every login attempt, every unauthorized access. If Marcus was using my credentials, the software would record everything they accumulated over 2 weeks. Video logs showed Marcus entering my office at 11:30 p.m. on Tuesday. Security cameras captured him at my desk, typing on my keyboard. The keylogger recorded him accessing my account, navigating to the client review portal, submitting false responses under my digital signature. 47 fraudulent reviews over 6 months, each one carefully crafted to damage my reputation while appearing legitimate. Each one submitted during hours when I had documented alibis. The financial impact was devastating. 3 major clients had terminated their retainers based on the negative feedback. 2 potential clients had chosen competing firms after reading the reviews. Our partnership's revenue projections showed a 15% decline directly attributable to my damaged reputation. But the personal betrayal cut deeper than the financial losses. Marcus had systematically destroyed the professional standing I'd spent 15 years building. He'd used my trust, my mentorship, my friendship as weapons against me. The final piece came from our billing system. Marcus had been padding his hours by claiming credit for work I'd completed. Client meetings I'd attended appeared on his timesheets. Documents I'd drafted showed his billing codes. Settlement negotiations I'd conducted were attributed to his efforts. Over 6 months, he'd stolen approximately $180,000 in billable hour credits, while simultaneously destroying my reputation through fraudulent reviews. I printed everything: login logs, video captures, billing discrepancies, review submissions. The filled, a 3-inch binder that would serve as my presentation to the executive committee. Marcus had no idea I'd discovered his scheme. He continued his pattern, submitting reviews, stealing billing credits, maintaining the facade of collegial friendship. During partnership meetings, he even expressed concern about my declining client satisfaction scores. Stuart's been under tremendous pressure lately, he told the other partners. Maybe we should consider redistributing some of his caseload to ensure quality client service. The audacity was breathtaking. He was positioning himself to benefit from the professional damage he'd inflicted. I scheduled a meeting with Christine Upminster, our managing partner, for Friday morning. The PIBA was overwhelming. The pattern was undeniable. Marcus's betrayal would Rowiki Crispids with his termination and likely criminal charges. But Thursday night, my phone rang at 2:17 a.m. Marcus's voice was calm, almost conversational. "I know you've been investigating me, Stuart. We need to talk." The line went dead before I could respond. Marcus knew. Somehow he'd discovered my investigation. I spent the remainder of the night reviewing security protocols. Our case management system logged every access attempt. If Marcus had been monitoring my activity, there would be digital fingerprints. But the logs showed nothing unusual beyond his standard pattern of late-night billing entries. Friday morning arrived with unusual quiet. The office felt different. Conversation stopped when I passed conference rooms. Associates avoided eye contact. Something had shifted overnight. Christine Upminster's assistant informed me our meeting was postponed indefinitely. No explanation. No rescheduling. Just a terse message delivered through intermediaries. By noon, I understood why. Marcus had moved first. The email arrived from our IT department at 12:43 p.m. Subject line: Immediate security review required. My system access had been temporarily suspended pending investigation of unauthorized data mining activities. All case files were locked. My billing privileges were revoked. Marcus had reported me for corporate espionage. The accusation was brilliant in its simplicity. My investigation into his activities could be reframed as unauthorized surveillance of a partner's confidential work product. The I'd gathered became proof of my misconduct rather than his betrayal. I called Christine directly. Her secretary claimed she was in depositions all afternoon. I tried reaching other partners. Suddenly, everyone was unavailable. The isolation was systematic and complete. At 3:15 p.m., building security escorted me to the conference room. Christine sat at the head of the table flanked by two partners I barely knew. Marcus occupied the chair directly across from mine, his expression appropriately grave. "Stuart, we've received serious allegations about your conduct," Christine began. "Marcus has presented suggesting you've been accessing confidential files without authorization and conducting surveillance of partnership activities." The irony was suffocating. Marcus had weaponized my investigation against me. "I was investigating fraudulent review submissions," I said. "Marcus has been forging client reviews under your name," Marcus interrupted smoothly. "Yes, I discovered that too. It's why I felt compelled to investigate your recent behavior patterns." He slid a folder across the table. Inside were screenshots of my late-night system access, my review of billing records, my examination of client feedback systems. Everything looked damning when stripped of context. "Stuart's been under tremendous stress," Marcus continued. "The declining client satisfaction scores, the revenue losses. I believe he created fraudulent reviews to damage the firm's reputation and justify his own performance issues." The accusation was masterful. Marcus had inverted the entire narrative. My of his betrayal became his of my instability. Christine reviewed the documents with practiced efficiency. "Stuart, these access logs show extensive after-hours activity in systems outside your normal practice areas. Can you explain this pattern?" I could explain everything. But doing so would require revealing the full scope of my investigation, which Marcus had already characterized as corporate espionage. Every piece of I'd gathered could be reframed as proof of my misconduct. "I need to consult with counsel before responding to these allegations," I said. The room fell silent. In 15 years of practice, I'd never invoked attorney-client privilege against my own firm. The statement marked a point of no return. "That's your right," Christine said. "However, given the serious nature of these allegations, we're implementing immediate protective measures. Your system access will remain suspended. All client files will be reassigned. You're placed on administrative leave pending resolution." Marcus had won. In less than 24 hours, he'd transformed from perpetrator to victim, from betrayer to whistleblower. My career at the firm was effectively over. But he'd made one critical error. In his haste to discredit me, Marcus had overlooked the external. The review platforms maintained their own logs. The billing system kept backup records. The video surveillance I'd captured existed outside our firm's network. I spent the weekend consulting with employment attorneys and forensic accountants. By Monday morning, I had a strategy: the independent bar review. The committee accepted my complaint against Marcus on Tuesday. Government Trust Compliance Auditor Fiona Walsh was assigned to investigate the financial irregularities. Her authority superseded the firm's internal review process. Walsh's investigation moved with bureaucratic precision. She interviewed clients whose reviews had been forged. She examined billing records with forensic software. She subpoenaed platform logs that Marcus couldn't manipulate or delete. The Frapsrud was overwhelming. Review submissions traced to Marcus's devices. Billing codes altered in his favor. Client meetings he'd never attended but claimed credit for conducting. Within 3 weeks, Walsh's preliminary findings confirmed systematic fraud spanning 8 months. The financial damage exceeded $200,000 when accounting for stolen billing credits and lost client revenue. Marcus's response was predictable. He claimed I'd framed him through sophisticated digital manipulation. He suggested the R was fabricated to cover my own misconduct. He demanded independent technical analysis of all digital records. The technical analysis destroyed his defense. Metadata showed the fraudulent reviews were created from his home network. Billing system logs confirmed he'd made the unauthorized changes. Video captured him accessing review platforms during times he claimed to be in court. The confrontation came during a partnership meeting in late November. Walsh presented her findings to the full executive committee. Marcus sat silent as she detailed each fraudulent transaction, each forged review, each stolen billing credit. "That demonstrates a systematic pattern of professional misconduct," Walsh concluded. Mr. Upminster violated multiple ethical obligations and potentially committed criminal fraud. Christine asked Marcus if he wished to respond. He declined. The partnership vote was unanimous. Marcus was terminated immediately. His equity stake was forfeited. The firm filed complaints with the State Bar and District Attorney's Office. Criminal charges followed within days. Wire fraud for the electronic review submissions. Theft for the stolen billing credits. Computer fraud for unauthorized system access. Marcus pled guilty to avoid trial. He received 18 months in federal prison and permanent disbarment. The restitution order required him to repay $247,000 in damages to the firm and affected clients. My administrative leave ended with a formal apology from the partnership. Christine offered me a promotion to senior partner with increased equity participation. The firm implemented new security protocols to prevent similar betrayals, but the damage to my reputation proved harder to repair. Several clients had already transferred to competing firms. My professional standing required months of careful rebuilding through successful case outcomes and community involvement. The experience taught me that betrayal often comes from those closest to us, armed with intimate knowledge of our vulnerabilities and blind spots. 6 months later, I opened my own practice in downtown San Jose. The office occupied a modest suite on the 15th floor of a glass tower overlooking the courthouse where I'd spent countless hours rebuilding my reputation. Stuart and Associates specialized in white-collar defense and professional liability cases. The irony wasn't lost on me. My experience with Marcus had given me unique insight into attorney misconduct investigations. The first major case came through a referral from Christine, a solo practitioner facing bar discipline for alleged client fund misappropriation. The looked damning until I discovered billing software glitches that created false accounting discrepancies. Word spread quickly through the legal community. Attorneys facing professional crises sought my counsel. I understood their fear, their isolation, their desperate need for someone who'd survived similar accusations. My client base grew steadily. Corporate executives charged with securities fraud, accountants facing professional sanctions, doctors defending malpractice claims. Each case taught me new patterns of betrayal and institutional failure. The firm's security protocols became an industry model. Christine invited me to speak at continuing education seminars about digital forensics and professional misconduct cases. My presentations drew standing room-only crowds. Technology companies began consulting with me on employee fraud prevention. Law schools requested guest lectures on legal ethics and cybersecurity. The expertise born from Marcus's betrayal had become my professional advantage. I hired 2 associates and a paralegal by years. The practice occupied the entire 15th floor. Success felt different now. More measured, more cautious, but ultimately more satisfying. Marcus served his sentence at a minimum security facility in Lompoc. I never visited or corresponded with him. Some betrayals create permanent boundaries that forgiveness cannot cross. The Independent Bar Review Committee published a detailed report on my case. It became required reading for ethics courses statewide. Walsh's investigation methodology was adopted as the standard protocol for similar misconduct allegations. My online reputation eventually recovered. New reviews praised my expertise and integrity. The fraudulent entries Marcus had created were permanently removed from all platforms. I established a pro bono program for attorneys facing false accusations. The legal profession's tendency toward self-destruction required active intervention. Too many careers were destroyed by unsubstantiated allegations and inadequate representation. Evening walks through downtown San Jose became my meditation. The city lights reflected off the courthouse windows where justice had ultimately prevailed. The betrayal that nearly destroyed my career had instead revealed my true calling. I create social campaigns educating lawyers on betrayal patterns and digital security protocols. The presentations reach thousands of legal professionals annually, helping them recognize warning signs before damage occurs. The practice thrived because it served a genuine need. Professional betrayal was more common than anyone wanted to acknowledge. My experience provided both credibility and practical solutions for those facing similar crises. Late at night, reviewing case files in my corner office, I sometimes thought about the partnership meeting where Marcus's deception was finally exposed. The silence in that conference room had marked the tecator of one and the beginning of another. Justice had taken its course through proper channels. The legal system had worked as designed, despite its imperfections. Truth had emerged through careful investigation and patient advocacy. The betrayal had cost me clients, reputation, and peace of mind. But it had also revealed strengths I never knew I possessed, and opened doors I never would have considered. It was finally over, and the silence felt earned.